Ladies and gentlemen, authentigators and fellow debaters, best regards. Today we propose that Morocco should embrace the shift to a cashless society and reduce dependence on cash transactions. A cashless society refers to an economical system where digital transactions are conducted through digital payment methods such as mobile wallets, card payments, credit cards, wire transfers, and cryptocurrencies. In order to reduce dependence on cash transactions, we must prioritize these digital means and reduce the use of cash in our daily life. This transition is not merely a technological advancement, however, a transformative step toward enhanced security, financial transparency, and economic efficiency. By embracing this shift, Morocco will certainly reach its potential as an interconnected economy ready to thrive in a modern era. Indeed, cash transactions brings undeniable benefits to Morocco. They are simple and accepted almost everywhere, especially in rural areas where digital infrastructure is limited. Besides that, cash preserves privacy and abolishes extra transaction fees. But today's debate, ladies and gentlemen, is not about the benefits of cash in our life. It is about whether if Morocco should embrace the shift.
PY, you said about the fees in cash transactions, but don't you know about the fees that go with the non-cash transactions? They are times 2 higher than the cash transactions. Thank you.
Can you give an example, please? I talked about the cash. I talked about the fees in digital transactions when I mean banks that capitalize on customers by cutting fees per each transaction. But, ladies and gentlemen, they completely neglected that if they want to pay for the same services with cash, it would take more time, effort, and gas. So for that, we prefer to use digital transactions to save time and effort, and also extra fees. Thank you. As I said previously, today's debate is not about the benefits of cash. It is about whether if Morocco should embrace the shift to a cashless system based on digital tools and digital payment methods. Therefore, we ask the opponent to provide valid arguments, statistics that proves that cashless transactions cannot assure a better future for Morocco. See, cash is fine, been around since forever, but let's not throw ourselves. It's vulnerable, easy to steal, and slow. You can't walk around carrying cash, nor you can hide it in your place. You will live in fear and constant stress. Digital transactions, they are fast, clean, and they get the job done. Some people will tell you that cash gives you privacy. Maybe so. But it's also the favorite tool of frauds, tax dodgers, and everyone looking to play the system. Cash, however, leave a print, and it's not a bad thing. A bit of accountability keeps things honest. Don't you agree? Each day, people offer statements as if they are facts, claiming things, drawing conclusions from personal observations and experiences, such as, it will rain today, or dogs are very loyal. Thank you.
Dear Prime Minister, you said that there is a fear of getting your cash stolen. What about the fear of getting your bank account stolen? Dear audience, respected members of the jury, members of the government, greetings. Today, as we debate whether Morocco should transition to a cashless society, I can't help but wonder what our esteemed opponents, I can't help but wonder if our esteemed opponents are debating from an alternate reality. A reality where Morocco's 4 million citizens living in poverty are magically uplifted. A reality where 13.1% of unemployment is just another statistic and not a dire crisis. A reality where our struggling educational system suddenly blossoms into world-class institutions. Alas, in the Morocco we live in, these problems are very real, but they need solutions, real solutions, not distractions like a premature shift to a cashless society. But first, let us acknowledge that the shift to a cashless society represents a significant transformation in the way the economy of a country operates. It's either going to have a positive impact or a negative one. Now, the question that should be asked is this transformation what Morocco needs right now? Ladies and gentlemen, as the opposition house, we firmly believe that the answer is no. It's an unrealistic idea and an expensive mistake that could lead to deepen our inequalities and hurt our economy. But don't just take my word for it. Let's break it down. According to the World Bank and Haut Commissariat au Plan, over 4 million Moroccans live below the poverty line. These are the people who struggle to put food on their tables. A cashless society would require reliable internet, smartphones, and a whole lot more that many Moroccans simply cannot afford. So instead of pushing for a cashless society, the government should prioritize lifting these people out of poverty. Or are we planning to widen the gap and leave them struggle even more? Now, and as reported by the UNESCO, Morocco's educational system is in vital need of reform. A cashless society would divert resources that are desperately needed to reform our educational system. Because if you come to think about it, a cashless society would require infrastructure, and infrastructure would require a lot of money, and when we say a lot of money, we mean funding, because,
DOI?
Yes?
How would you relate education to a cashless society?
Actually, if you would have waited a little moment, you would have actually understood what I meant. As I was saying, Morocco doesn't need a transition to a cashless society, because a cashless society, because if you come to think about it, a cashless society requires a lot of money. And when we say a lot of money, we say a lot of funding. So one of the main reasons of our struggling educational system is funding. That's like basically trying to find a needle in a haystack in the dark while wearing a blindfold. Absurd, isn't it? Now, let's talk about unemployment, especially among youth. It is another crisis Morocco faces. With youth unemployment among the highest in the region, it is clear that Morocco's priority should be creating job opportunities. What does a cashless society mean for the millions working in informal sectors, where cash transactions are the norm? A cashless society means exclusion. A cashless society means worsening unemployment and deepening inequalities. But hey, let's look at the bright side. At least we'll be able to add economic downturn to our list of national achievements, right up there with high unemployment rates and a degraded educational system. Ladies and gentlemen, my dear opponents would have you believe that going cashless is a step towards advancement. But what good is progress if it leaves millions of Moroccans behind? Thank you.
Imagine this. You walk into a bustling market in the heart of Marrakesh. The sun is shining. The air is filled with the aroma of fresh mint. And instead of fumbling around with a handful of dirhams, you simply tap your phone. And voila, transaction complete. No lost change, no awkward haggling about a torn banknote. Sounds futuristic, maybe. But I'm here to tell you, it's not only possible, it's essential for Morocco's future. Now, before anyone says, but what about our traditions? Let me reassure you, embracing a cashless society isn't about replacing tradition with technology. It's about making our traditions smoother, faster, and more reliable. We're not saying goodbye to the vibrant souks of Marrakesh. We're just making sure your favorite spice vendor doesn't have to dig through a drawer of coins to give you change. And my opponents might argue, what if technology fails? What if your phone freezes? Or your app crashes at the wrong moment? And while we all know technology isn't foolproof, that doesn't mean we should abandon progress.
UI, you said that using cashless transactions is more reliable than using cash, but can you really rely on technology rather than your own person, a human being?
I think we can sometimes. It's made by humans. As I was saying, my opponents might argue, what if technology fails? What if your phone freezes or your app crashes at the wrong moment? And while we all know technology isn't foolproof, that doesn't mean we should abandon progress. In a well-designed cashless society, you're never relying on just one tool. It's like saying, what if my car breaks down? Sure, it happens, but we don't go back to riding donkeys. And let's not pretend cash is perfect. How often have you been stuck without exact change? Or faced a shop where they couldn't break a big bill? The truth is, both systems have flaws. But unlike cash, digital payments can improve over time. And now let's talk about something serious. Transparency. Cash has a funny way of disappearing without a trace. Whether it's under your couch cushions or into the shadowy corners of tax evasion and corruption. By reducing reliance on cash, we can shine a light on every dirham, ensuring it contributes to the betterment of our nation. Just look at Sweden, for example, a country where cash is almost extinct. They have significantly reduced financial crimes and bolstered their economy with tools that make every transaction traceable. Morocco, why not us? And let's not overlook safety. Carrying cash can make individuals and businesses vulnerable to theft, especially in busy markets and remote areas. In a cashless society, this risk is reduced significantly. And it's not just physical safety, it's about economic resilience too. Digital systems can withstand shocks better than cash-based ones, whether it's a pandemic, a natural disaster, or economic uncertainty. Digital systems can ensure commerce doesn't stop, even when physical cash can't circulate. So it's a safeguard for businesses and consumers alike, keeping our economy moving no matter what challenges arise. So why is this shift so important? Because it's about more than just money. It's about shaping a Morocco that is innovative, inclusive, and ready to lead. A Morocco where businesses thrive, where our economy is the envy of the region, and where citizens feel secure. Thank you.
Ms. Deputy Prime Minister, sorry, when your car breaks down once, you go back and then you re-ride your back. But when your car breaks down multiple times, you eventually ride your donkey. A museum without art, a body without a soul, a society without cash. Delusion is what we feel the most when we hear our opponents' arguments. Their ideas are so reality-neglecting and fact-denying. And for what? How can Moroccans find a better way to financially interact with each other better than cash? Spoiler alert, there isn't, and you can't. Ladies and gentlemen, board of the jury, fellow opponents, good morning. A cashless society. To be honest, I don't know where to begin, nor what to say. Through my 17 years of existence, I have always loved cash. I'm not saying that I'm a materialist, but just stay with me now. Being handed out money on Eid morning, or getting your allowance on a Saturday, knowing you'd be spending that later with your friends. Oh man, I love it. But like, notice how I didn't say, oh, when my dad cash apped me money or tapped me with his credit card.
You would say, yeah, you have a phone, he does too, he can send you money through a bank app and then the problem is solved. Well, actually, no. I was a kid, I didn't have a phone, and I didn't have a bank account. In other difficult words, because this is what our ops love, I was financially excluded from the rest of the society. To explain further, financial exclusion is the inability of an individual or a group of individuals to access basic financial services like banking or credit or even saving. So digitalizing money in Morocco can't be anything but a shorter route to a bigger and a forced financial exclusion. According to the World Bank Global Findex of 2021, only 29% of Morocco's adults have access to basic financial services, which is in a way due to the inaccessibility of these features, and in another is heavily due by the high fees that these institutions associate to their fees. Can't you see, their opponents, that it is too much when only to have a bank account at Sayash Bank, it costs up to 60 dirhams per trimester? Or when only to have an electronic payment terminal at a point of sale or in the souk, as Mrs. Deputy Prime Minister said, it costs up to 3,000 dirhams or 5,000 dirhams, referring to naps.ma. Do you believe that it is acceptable for these low-income shop owners to pay almost twice the minimum wage just for you to show off your Apple Pay and your credit card? This is pathetic, let alone the fact that in rural areas where there is still no 4G coverage, 24%
Why?
taken.
Do you think cash transactions take no gas and no effort and no time? Do you consider money more valuable than time and effort and gas?
I think the question is really irrelevant because when you pay with money, it's instantly. Thank you. And as I said, how can these low-income shop owners pay almost twice the minimum wage just for you to flex your Apple Pay and your credit card? How can we live in a society without trust if we are not living... No, sorry. How can we live in a society without cash if we are already living without trust? The problematic issue here is that the majority of Moroccans don't have enough trust in corporate companies with their money, as they are profoundly miseducated on the subject matter and have very little to no financial education, which would make it and already makes it hard for them to adapt to the new payment platforms. Can't you see that whatever you are defending actually alienates the illiterate and the literate and widens the social inequalities, wanting the best for you and not for others? Don't you feel guilty? Don't you feel guilty? And I mean, even if you didn't feel guilty, you should feel guilty. Hearts full of guilt and shame, and yet you are here trying to caress us. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the devil's advocate in its purest form. Thank you.
Dear audience, dear member of the juries, welcome. As you can see, today we've been discussing a significant topic that raises several questions. Personally, I didn't find any definitive answers. So, rather than prolonging the debate, I think I will remain silent by acknowledging the importance and complexity of this topic. Morocco is currently at a pivotal moment in its economic evolution, where the global shift towards digitalization presents both challenges and opportunities. As more countries transition to cashless societies, it becomes crucial for Morocco to consider the long-term benefits of reducing its reliance on cash transactions. Digital payments system offer numerous advantages, including convenience, efficiency, and enhanced security. This growth these align with Morocco's vision to modernize its financial infrastructure and drive economic growth. In an era of rapid technological advancement and an increasingly tech-savvy population, Morocco must embrace the transition to a cashless society to unlock new opportunities and remain globally competitive. One of the primary advantages of a cashless society is its potential to embrace economic efficiency, digital transactions, Digital transactions are faster, more reliable, and easier to track, reducing the cost and time associated with handling physical cash. Managing cash through printing, transporting, and securing is an expensive process for both the government and the businesses. By transitioning to electronic payments, Morocco could streamline financial operations, improve tax collection, and cut administrative expenses. In addition, cash transactions are anonymous, ensuring a level of privacy in financial dealings. And we cannot forget
PI. You talked about privacy. Don't you know that if you are in a cashless society and where everything is exposed in your bank accounts, your privacy could be triggered?
Yes, that's what I'm going to talk about in the second intervention. Okay. And we cannot forget, in a cashless society, every purchase is tracked, potentially exposing individuals to surveillance by government, corporations, or hackers. This loss of privacy raises concerns about personal freedom and the control of personal data. Finally, the global shift towards cashless societies highlights the urgency of adopting advanced technologies. Countries like Sweden, India, and China have already made significant progress in this area, spurring innovation and economic growth through digital payments platforms. Morocco must not lag behind in this global transformation by investing its necessary infrastructure, promoting digital literacy, and reassuring robust cybersecurity. Morocco can leverage the same innovation that we are reshaping economies worldwide. In conclusion, transitioning to a cashless society offers Morocco a chance to modernize its economy, improve financial inclusion, and strengthen security. By embracing these changes, the country can position itself as a leader in the digital economy while addressing long-standing in this financial system. Thank you.
I honestly don't know what to say. This exact moment of silence was my reaction when I saw that many people think that becoming a cashless society is a brilliant idea. As Alan Glasgow said, all changes are not growth, as all movement is not forward. And this is exactly what we thought about becoming a cashless society. Dear audience, honorable members of the jury, members of the government, salutations. If you're still wondering why does this house firmly believe that shifting to a virtual economy is a bad idea, well, I'm here to clarify things. And what is a better way to paint a clearer picture than giving examples? Most of us had already heard about cyber attacks, right? But we tend that they're not that common. Well, they are, and I will prove you wrong. Many countries had been suffering for the past years because of these attacks. In Bangladesh, 2016, $81 million were stolen by hackers from the SWIFT international banking system, which is considered as an important element for international banking for decades, and banks consider it as trustworthy and secure. And also, let's talk about Sweden, right? Well, it is well known for its high infrastructure and well-developed system, where even though it suffered a lot from cyber attacks. According to the overview of TrueSec, compared to 2019 and 2020's performance, Sweden had shown an apparent increase in numbers of attacks, resulting in over $2.66 billion. Pretty high, right? You're going to tell me, why are you saying this? This is irrelevant. Well, no. I am trying to prove that no matter how much a country can be prepared Cyber attacks are a danger. So where does Morocco stand in comparison? In December 2023,
If you're talking about cybercon, then what would cybersecurity companies be for?
What do you mean?
If you're talking about cybercon, what are cybersecurity companies doing in our world?
I'm trying to talk about it. I'm going to talk about it right now. So, as I was saying, where does Morocco stand in comparison? In December 2023, a Russian cybersecurity company, Kaspersky, ranked Morocco as being the 15th country with the most saline infection, registering 52 million cases of these attacks in only 2023. So this can clearly show that Morocco isn't ready to assume these kind of changes. And also, what makes matters worse is privacy, right? When we talk about a cashless society, we talk about bank accounts, and we talk about personal informations. And with our low quality system, these informations could be stolen, and they could be used for many bad reasons, like opening a fraudulent account or making illegal or unauthorized purchases, right? So, ladies and gentlemen, I doubt that after all of this, you think that Morocco is ready to become a cashless society, because progress must not come at the cost of our security and safety. I have one advice. It's to do things slowly and cautiously, and let's ensure Morocco's future being bright and innovative. Thank you.
I've spent the last half hour listening to my dear opponents rant about how cashless payments aren't effective, aren't the solution, aren't secure, or whatever. Truly, it's a pity, knowing that you didn't buy anything aside from food during the quarantine. As for me, I'll be ranting on about the unfairness of it all. Limiting the whole Moroccan society from international purchases. I mean, it would definitely encourage buying more local products, but let's not pretend everything is accessible around here. Let's not pretend Morocco is the most developed country in the world. I might understand your choice to keep Grandpa's mentality, even though Grandma used to get assaulted monthly following her cash payments. Oh, and spoiler, this still happens. But please, for the love of this audience, do not impose this on our whole society. In a world full of impatience, cashless transactions assure faster transactions. In a world full of thieves and robbers, cashless transactions assure financial security. And I've heard you go all about cybercon, but then what would cybersecurity companies be for? And dear opponents, dear eagles, what has our school taught us, if not taken?
You said if cybercons exist while cybersecurity exists too, then how do you explain crimes still existing with the police being there too?
I'll be responding to this later. Dear opponents, dear eagles, what has our school taught us, if not to care for our environment? And yet, you choose to go for cash methods that have a significant impact on our environment. And needless to say, how cashless payments reduce corruption and assert to better tax compliance. Dear people, embrace modernity. Let us help you. Let us help our country. Let us guide you towards the future. Cashless payments did wonders in Kenya, lifting 194,000 households out of poverty between 2008 and 2014. Increased card usage added $296 billion to global GDP, from 2011 to 2015, greatly benefiting emerging markets like India and China. I do not see why Morocco would misfit. Businesses save on average $0.17 per transaction by going cashless. As transport and going back to rapidity, transactions are 63% times faster than cash payments, allowing businesses to serve more customers per hour. As for security, digital payments have helped reduce retail theft in stores by up to 30%. The vast majority of Moroccan population remains unbanked and relies on cash transaction, limiting access to formal financial services like loans and savings. Solutions like mobile payment systems and digital banking tools are seen as key to helping more people join the formal economy. You can check the World Bank blog as sources. So, if you want to keep your financial traditions, go ahead. If you want to count your money penny for penny, go ahead. But what you're thinking and transmitting is to strain our country's development financially and economically. But unfortunately for you, the subject there says Morocco as a whole. So please do not come here and drag our whole society with you. And I'm afraid I'll have to go quiet as I'm running late, but here are the noise of your pennies forever echoing through the walls, forever echoing your financial failure. Thank you.
Okay, so like the government whip said, let's do talk about the unfairness of it all. The unfairness of it all is Mrs. High Heels, Gold Watch and Blazer talking about inclusivity. 30 minutes. Almost 30 minutes have went by. Yet, the House of Government is still stubbornly defending a position that doesn't hold up to reason. But you know what? I am tired. Actually, our whole team is tired of trying to talk you out of your arguments. So I apologize. As a matter of fact, not only am I apologizing, but I am also going to agree with you. Yeah, let's forget about it all. Let's forget about the fact that Morocco is not anywhere near having enough funds to embrace a cashless society. Let's ignore the fact that by adopting a cashless economy, we will be exposing users of digital infrastructures to cyber attacks, data breaches, fraud, and cyber attacks. Let's, above all, ignore the fact that by going cashless, we will be excluding a major part of Morocco's population of its infrastructure and widening social inequalities. Dear opponents, did you truly take the time to envision what you were encouraging? Well, let me tell you. A disastrous breach of Morocco's economy, with savings wiped out in seconds and no physical backup left to save the day because Judge 2 vintage for a modern nation. The very trust put into a banking system basically built over decades shattered overnight. And for what? For the hope of a modernized version of it. Enough nonsense. Taken?
Do you think that Morocco really saves cash? Do you think Morocco really saves cash by dealing with cash transactions? If we saw the amount that Morocco loses each year for printing money, transportation, and everything, do you think that cash saves money for Morocco?
First of all, you can't save cash by going cashless because it's cashless. So, as I was saying, it is more than obvious that Morocco is not anywhere near ready for this transition. Not only does our infrastructure lag behind, but we also lack the funds to implement even the minimum requirements for a smooth cashless transition. Even in countries with more advanced data reforms, rushed attempts at cash reforms have led to disaster. In 2016, India went through a demonetization crisis. A sudden and poorly planned move left millions of people stranded and caused widespread economic harm. If Morocco, with much fewer resources, can even dream of achieving a cashless economy, and that was to answer you, Mrs. Deputy Prime Minister. Dear opponents, let us step back and truly consider the reality of what you're proposing. A cashless economy might sound like a dream of progress, but without the necessary groundwork, it quickly turns into a nightmare of inequity and exclusion. Morocco cannot afford to rush in such a transformation blindly. At best, the vision of a cashless Morocco requires significant preparation and a phased approach. An approach that strengthens digital infrastructure, educates the population, safeguards from cyber attacks, and most importantly, supports small businesses. Until these requirements are met, this debate isn't about progress. It's about choosing between wisdom and chaos. But it's also about you, dear opponents. It's about you learning to differentiate and to realize that empty optimism is worth nothing at the eyes of realism. Thank you.
The opponents kept talking about the past. The opponents kept talking about the past in cybersecurity attacks, but they neglected. But they neglected that cybersecurity attacks are due to a lack of computer literacy. 60% of Moroccan users, according to Statista, do not know how to use a computer. So it's usual for them to get hacked, to share their card information, and to get their accounts erupted. We can count on using cybersecurity companies to protect us, and we can spread computer literacy campaigns to Morocco, and also anti-phishing campaigns, in which we make citizens learn more about how to use and protect their data. Thank you.
Dear Prime Minister, you would want to hear this. Ladies and gentlemen, nearly 1/3 of Moroccans cannot read or write, making a shift to a cashless society a huge challenge. Digital payments require basic skills like reading, understanding technology, and accessible, reliable internet, skills that many of our Moroccans cannot have, especially in rural areas. Imagine asking someone who has never held a smartphone to navigate online payments, to make a cashless system work. Morocco would need a massive efforts to educate and raise awareness across the country. This would require time, money, infrastructure we currently lack. Without these efforts, millions could be left behind, deepening inequality and creating even bigger gaps in our society. Thank you.
Esteemed jury, respected audience, standing before you today for the first time has been an honor, one I hope to have again in the future. Today we've heard voices clinging to the past. We've heard voices disguising hesitation as caution. Well, let me tell you this, progress doesn't wait. Sticking to outdated systems doesn't protect tradition. It changed us to mediocrity, and Morocco deserves better. We are a nation full of talent, full of ideas and strength. So, to those who say no to change, remember this. The future won't wait for us. It takes bravery to grow, to improve, and to succeed. So let's choose to be brave. Thank you.
Say hello to my little friend. 1983, Scarface. The world is yours, Tony Montana. Dear rivals, you are the Tony Montana today. You have the world in between your hands, and yet you watch it crumble and falling into pieces. Progress lifts everyone, not just the privileged few. So, in my opinion, in my team opinion, let us ride our, you're watching it crumble. Don't risk it all just for us to go back to our donkeys and let us on our bicycle, riding surely but slowly. Thank you.
A cashless society has a significant advantage towards our society, unlike societies with cashes, because we've been expecting a lot poverty a lot towards the ages, and no one has been has been considered. Poverty has been raised, and no one can benefit from. Which could disrupt the access to funds.
Well, like the government whip talked about, environmental benefits of going cashless. Well, yes, I agree that cash printing has an environmental cost, but also a cashless society, because digital systems require significant energy for data centers and server operation, contributing to electronic waste and also carbon emissions. So we can't really say that there is an environmental benefits. You see what I mean? So now all I have to say is to be cautious. Just be cautious and don't be too fast with these changes, because they can cost very, very bad things. And now the alarm will almost ring, right? So I want it when it will ring to wake up. Okay? Thank you.
Members of the jury, members of the opposition, dear audience, today I'm proud. I am very proud to be able to raise awareness about a subject that could help develop our country. But I'm also sad. Very much saddened to see that you, dear opponents, are so blinded by your words. And I'm telling you this out of pure love and concern for both you and the whole Moroccan society, that your conservatives' ideas will be the end of you. But I have faith. I have faith in you, dear audience. I so heartily believe that you're smart enough. I believe in your brightness. I believe in your quick-wittedness. And I know that we do. It goes without saying that this is not about losing or winning. It goes beyond that. So choose what will take you further. Choose the wise path. Choose the right path.
Mrs. Government Whip, if you used your introduction at the beginning of the debate and not at the end, you might have convinced me. But I think you're all missing the point of what we're actually doing here. Our stance stands for eventually maybe a cashless society, but for now, we are showing you that it's clearly not reachable for any of us. But when it will all crumble for you guys, I will save a coin for each and every single one of you. Thank you.